So with the new Ted series coming out next year, and I do plan to review that show either episode by or just binge the whole season. I'm not really sure how they're releasing it. Peacock's very inconsistent about how they release shows, but yes, my hair is a mess, and I know. Anyways, I wanted to talk about the Ted movies because I'm a big Seth MacFarlane fan. I don't really get to talk about that much. And one of my biggest disappointments with Seth MacFarlane is his movies. And it's not that his movies are bad. I do. Well, this one is, but we'll talk about that. We're going to review all three of these movies before the Ted series comes out, but we want to do them in order. The thing about the Ted movies, okay, is, and Seth MacFarlane, is he's only directed like 3 movies. And it's kind of weird because the 2 movies he made, which is Ted 1 and 2, were gigantic monster hits. That's why we're getting a Ted sequel series. Even though the sequel didn't, it came out what, 2014? Yeah, 2015, sorry. At least that's the date of this Blu-ray, so I'm guessing 2015, maybe 14, whatever. That's a long time. So that's like a 2024. It's almost a 9-year gap. Now that is a 9-year gap in between things, And these movies have stayed inside of pop culture, I guess. People like the Ted character. His merchandise that they made for these movies actually sells like money on eBay. I've noticed that. Like, they're pricey. I kind of want to get a Ted plushie, but I'm just saying, like, Ted is an expensive item to buy now on the second-hand market because he's popular, and we're getting a sequel show. But it's kind of like he never went on to do more movies because this movie flopped, and I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a shame because these movies are fun, and I think he could have become a really good director. And these movies aren't amazingly directed, especially this one, but that's mostly because this guy came from animation. He went out of animation, went on to direct live action, and grew to be a lot better at it. And this is and this is kind of an early example of that. So, direction here isn't great, but a lot of the comedy and bits are. This movie is very much Family Guy, adjacent, where it is. There are a lot of cutaway gags. There are a lot of funny moments. There's also a lot of stupid moments that are childish and not very funny. And if you don't get along with that, that's fine. But there's a mixture of both, and that's how all this. And so I would say if you're not a Seth MacFarlane fan, don't bother fucking watching this movie. It's not going to give you more. But if you are a Seth MacFarlane fan, it's really worth a watch. It's super funny. There's a lot of great gags. Though, because I've seen this movie before, I decided to check out the unrated version of this movie. Don't do that. I think what's great about Family Guy is they're stuck by censors where they would probably do a lot worse things if they didn't have censors telling them no. But sometimes that's great, and they're able to make funny right-arounds that, make funny jokes about the censors and the network and things like that are smart. And so in the normal version of that, you kind of see some of that in that version. But when you get the unrated version, gags are just like, okay, you're just being crass for no reason. There's not really a joke there. You're just saying dicks or butts or fuck or whatever. But it's I still really like these movies. I think one thing I will appreciate about the direction, the blending of Ted, the CGI effect, into the real world is seamless. You he's a CGI character because you're not stupid, but it's really like so seamless that if we didn't know what CGI was, you might as well just assume that they made that thing actually move around like a puppet. I mean, it's fucking crazy. He looks great. And, I think that's great. Mark Wahlberg's really fun in this movie. I do not like Mila Kunis in this movie. I think, after watching That's the 70s Show, I liked her at first in these movies, but after watching That's the 70s Show, you can see how much better she is at pulling off romantic chemistry with other actors. And you could just tell, like, probably off the set, her and Mark Wahlberg had no fucking chemistry. That's probably the reason she didn't show up in the sequel, which I kind of get, because she had no chemistry with him, really. I do enjoy the story of, like, Mark Wahlberg learning to grow up and embrace it and kind of let go of his childhood while also embrace part of his childhood, and that's sweet. And it's just kind of, it's got funny moments and parodies of pop culture and things like that, like Flash Gordon and things. And there's some fun moments. I just really love these Ted movies, and I can't wait to talk about Ted 2 next week. Let me know your thoughts, like, share, and subscribe.